I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're setting sail on an incredible journey through a life spent on the water. The name of the book, Years Behind the Helm. It's written by Captain Louis Muno, and the captain takes us through his adventures from a young boy in Illinois discovering his love for the sea to commanding vessels as a seasoned mariner. This book is a must-read for anyone fascinated by maritime history, sailing, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge and adventure. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Lou, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you.
You grew up in Illinois, far from the oceans, not far from lakes, of course, but you had a passion to set sail as a child even. Tell us a little bit about your love of adventure and your love of the sea.
Yeah. Reading has been a big part of my life. Started early and I always enjoyed history, and it seemed like nautical information, nautical stories were uh, always of interest to me.
Yeah, and well, you've written a beautiful one based on your own experiences in life. So you were inspired by the books you read to get out there on the water, and you did, and you studied it. You went to the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. Tell us about your experiences there. There, you probably sailed all around the world after that, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, I've been very fortunate. Actually, my first attempt was I applied for the Naval Academy. I had a friend who had an appointment there. I received a fourth alternate nomination, and I thought, well, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think there'll be enough people that'll be disqualified that I'll get the appointment.
Hmm.
So I also noticed that there, in the literature I was reviewing at the time, that there was a fifth federal academy, the United States Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, Long Island, New York. And boy, I'll tell you that when I read about that, that really hit me. I thought, boy, this is me. I think I might even be more interested in merchant marine because it's commercial enterprise versus military.
Hmm.
Although the training is so similar, and because of that in history, that's why there is a an academy. So signed up for that. Actually, technically, I had to be uh, meet a quota for the state, which I apparently handily did, and
Hmm.
signed up for the Merchant Marine Academy. And I might mention that I was signed up and I received a telegram from the superintendent at the Naval Academy appointing me to a position that he could award.
Hmm.
I thought about it, but then I thought, no, I think I want to go to this Merchant Marine Academy.
Hmm.
So I did and had a great time academically, sports wise, socially, and so forth.
Amazing, amazing. Now, more than a half a century later, your grandson recently graduated from the academy, right?
Yes, and that was a surprise to me. He's a great athlete and a great scholar, and I there never was any indication to me that he would be interested, but he applied and was accepted and did very well. In fact, he's sailing right now on a civilian manned Navy ship,
Wow.
what they call the Military Sea Lift Command, enjoying it and doing very well.
Well, he and Granddad will have a lot of stuff to talk about when he returns from his journey at sea, no doubt. Talk to
Yes.
us a little bit about your most memorable experience as a captain. When you look back on your adventures, is there one that really stands out?
They're all different enough, the locality, type of ship, the other crew, uh, navigational requirements. They're all different enough. It's really difficult to pick one out. Just as an indication, I twice sailed for 3 months as a second officer on the ship called the Africa Mercy. And
Mhm.
this was that's owned by a foundation, and they provide charitable surgical and medical services every year to a country in West Africa. And I enjoyed the crew on there was kind of interesting. Each session there was about 350 crew from like 35 different nations. Fortunately, they all spoke English, but it's time to meet a lot of people that were charitable in their intents and volunteering in all categories, from doctors and nurses down to plumbers
Yeah,
or or laborers. Yeah.
yeah. What was it like being out to sea for months and months and being away from family and loved ones and all of that?
Well, my story is quite different in that I had a 40-year career in what's called data processing services, a corporate type work where we did. I worked for companies. We did work for other companies on our computers, and I instructed and trained our clients' people on how to submit their data to the system and designed reports and so forth. And it was only at the conclusion of that 40-ish years
Mm.
that I decided to look around for something else to do. And I was quickly, a couple of people reminded me that I had a merchant mariner license. And so I started doing excursion vessels at the
Mm.
age of 60.
Wow.
And because my license had really expired, I sailed as unlicensed on Great Lakes carriers. And I met some people, some union people there, and they decided to spend some money on me, and they sent me to a special school in Baltimore, where I got back my unlimited oceans license, and then started sailing, applying for and sailing on ocean jobs. And whether it was inland, Great Lakes, oceans, I enjoyed being around ships and boats and stuff, and picking up what additional knowledge I can, and enjoyed the atmosphere in general. And I would work anywhere from typically from 2 weeks to 6 months.
Right.
And I should mention that at the conclusion of my 40 years, my wife passed away.
Hmm.
Wonderful woman, four great children. But so I did not have and my kids were through college by that time, so I did not have the uh, attachment to home that I previously had. So I was able to do this and not cause any rifts or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. What advice would you give to young people who are considering a maritime career?
Well, there is, as you intimated, there is this aspect of it where you can be away for long periods of time. Companies seem to be more aware of that and arranging schedules so that in many cases people are working 30 days on and 30 days off. It's still a different style,
Hmm.
but it certainly is not the months and months that previously people had to accustom themselves to.
Yeah. Yeah. As you look back on your career as a captain, was there a particularly dangerous or high stakes situation that you encountered on the water?
Well, it's like airline pilots, as they always say. They're long periods of let's say
Of smooth skies?
just smooth sailing, smooth
Yeah.
skies, and then there are moments of pure terror.
Yeah.
It seems like, but fortunately, none of those ever came to fruition.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wonderful.
so
Wonderful.
make it
Yeah. I'd imagine the weather was one of the biggest challenges, being out there in unexpected storms and unexpected turbulent seas, right?
yes, and fortunately, bad weather. seemed to come in small increments and infrequently, and enjoyed an awful lot of weather. Like this last year, I was on a tugboat in Florida for 4 months, and I was on an evangelical boat in Mexico for a month, and I was on a tugboat on the East Coast for a month, and great weather all the time.
Yeah. I think it's keeping you young. All of that sailing, all of those years and hours and months and days spent at sea.
I hope so. I should also mention that in many cases the pay is good, the company benefits are good. In some cases, the training is very good.
Hmm.
Um, so those are all pluses.
Absolutely. What do you hope readers take away from your book?
Well, I wrote the book after it being suggested to me by many times by friends, and they thought I should uh, list all the itineraries and the vessels I'd been on and so forth. And I was first agreeable to that, but then when I started, I thought, well, this is just kind of like it's going to come to people as a kind of um, a little bit of a shock. How do you do this and so forth. So I started thinking about, well, maybe I should tell them a little bit about my early home life and the things that I was interested in and opportunities that I had. Like a big one was I joined as a teenager in high school. I joined a group of what are called Sea Scouts, part of the Boy Scouts,
Mm.
and but their motif is nautical stuff, and their training and activities are a lot of nautical things like boat handling, canoeing, in my case, sailing,
Mm.
seamanship, navigation, and things like. And I find all this extremely interesting. Sailing was a particular interest to me. I learned how to sail in a wide spot in a rock river.
Mm.
Not a great place. Tell you some funny things about that, but I went to the Merchant Marine Academy and I thought, well, I'll go out for the sailing team because I need an activity to change things up. And I thought, well, I'll be able to maybe be a sparring partner to merchant mariner sons or seaman sons or whatever. Well, my first practice race, I won, and I practically never stopped. So I
Wow.
was captain of the intercollegiate sailing team there at the Merchant Marine Academy, and that was a great competition, and as well as great entertainment and fun visiting all these other schools on the East Coast and social activities involved with that and so forth. So that was very nice and very gratifying.
Amazing. In a group of people who are mariners and sailors, you stood out, which is amazing. And you stand out now as an author with this wonderful book. It's called Years Behind the Helm. In it, Captain Lou takes us through his adventures from a young boy in Illinois, discovering his love for the sea, to commanding vessels as a seasoned mariner. This book is a must read for anyone fascinated by maritime history, sailing, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge and adventure. Captain, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's been all mine, sir. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.